Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Discover Exclusive. I'm your host Salman Khan, and today we have a very special guest. She's a Pakistani Iraqi American researcher at George Washington University, came from Washington DC, and right now she is working as a philanthropist. She's a founder As We Rise Foundation. She's working on girls' education in Pakistan. Let's meet Miss Belsem Aljobory. Assalamu alaikum, Belsem.
Assalamu alaikum, assalam.
Welcome to Pakistan.
Thank you.
So, first question is about yourself. Can you tell us a bit about yourself and what inspired you to found the As We Rise Foundation?
Yes, well, I was raised predominantly by a single mother, and her story of her mother and my mother inspired me to pursue providing educational opportunities for women right in our home country, which is Pakistan. I predominantly attended an all-girls school, which also inspired me, as well as my sister, all strong female role models that pushed me further to provide those opportunities for other girls.
Oh, that's great. So you go to all girls schools in America.
Yes.
And that actually, inspires you to start it in Pakistan as well.
Exactly.
So have you been to Pakistan before that?
I have. I've been twice. Once when I was just 14, which inspired the mission of this of the nonprofit, as well as August of 2022 to do some rudimentary field work as to the barriers girls face to access to education.
That's great. So what actually, one thing is that you studied in the all-girls school, and who actually inspires you and pushes you to do that?
Definitely my mother. I'd have to attribute it to her. She knows that in an all-female classroom, women are inspired. They're not compared to their male counterparts. They are pushed to further achieve their goals in the capacity that they are able to. Whether that means training vocationally or educationally, they are pushed to pursue what they want to without any barriers.
So what exactly As We Rise Foundation is doing in Pakistan, and is there any institute you have started?
Yes, we have a first school, our pilot school in Murid K. We have 54 students enrolled.
Wow.
Yes, thank you. It's a great opportunity for the girls. Otherwise, they either drop out of the public school education system because they're unable to attend due to financial reasons. So we provide everything from the textbooks, the uniforms, teacher salaries, just ensuring that there's a cohesive learning environment that is both empowering but also educationally sufficient for these girls to achieve what they want.
That's great. That's it. So what are your more ambitions? What you're going to do in the future, and what exactly you are doing which others are not doing in Pakistan?
One of the biggest things was, after establishing this nonprofit, I truly wanted to know on the ground what are the reasons why girls cannot access education, and if they can, what is the quality of it. I think we see with the single national curriculum trying to bridge the gap between these schools. We have madrasas in Pakistan, public schools and private schools. The first initial problem back in the 2010s was access to education. Girls couldn't really go. I'm talking more so in the urban sense rather than rural. Now we focus more, as I'm seeing in Pakistani policy making, about the quality of education. Back in 2022, when I pursued my research in high school, I found the barriers to girls' education included teacher absenteeism, lack of quality infrastructure, and most importantly, community buy-in. In my second round of research that I recently presented at Oxford, I ensured that we understood why there wasn't a lot of community buy-in, so that when my school was implemented, that we'd actually have the students coming. And so that's why I think I was largely successful in having the students buy into the idea of education for their girls and for themselves in an empowering environment by supporting the needs they want.
But you are, mashallah, a young founder, and whenever you're going to start anything, you face challenges. So what challenges you actually face, opening a school for girls in Pakistan?
Well, first, on the ground, it's a 501c3 in America. There's a lot of demonized and distorted views of Pakistan in the United States. So first, battling those by getting donors to donate, to believe in the mission, was my first challenge. Afterwards, it was ensuring that I found a community within Pakistan that was willing to send their girls to school. For whatever reasons, whether that be cultural, financial, or I guess skewed religiously, a lot of girls weren't able to go to school in some communities, and I wanted to find a community that would ensure that students would attend and keep attending. Once I was able to find that, which was my biggest challenge, and find people on the ground that I trust to be able to run the school, which I have to give a big shout out to my lovely principal, Wasim. He has been instrumental in creating that space for these young girls as well as the teachers to ensure that they actually go to school. So that would be my biggest challenge, was finding that community and finding people you trust in Pakistan.
That's great. And convincing people to invest in Pakistan.
Right.
Both are the challenges. So why do you select Murid ke first? And is there other places you're working on where you're going to start a school?
Yeah, so originally my research was in urban Lahore, Sub-Sazar, and then we worked in the north to figure out the barriers to girls' education in the rural areas in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. When I found that logistically urban areas would be more beneficial to actually having the girls be able to attend, we started expanding. So we started reaching out to people that would be interested in it, tutors, college graduates, seeing who would be interested in facilitating this learning, whether that be teachers and principals. We found Wasim online. He had reached out to us, and we had interviewed the people that he wanted to be the teachers, and created this lovely environment for them.
So, there's another challenge in Pakistan, convincing the parents to let their, girls go into the school. So, how do you ensure safety or community trust and, cultural sensitivity in the region?
That was my biggest question when it came to my research at Oxford. I specifically wanted to understand the barriers that the community face when sending their girls. What was the reason why they're not buying into it? I found that due to the British colonization era, Pakistan's educational system is based on Western-centric metrics of success, meaning that the community doesn't really believe in what's being taught in these schools. In this school, I wanted to be different. I wanted to ask the community, the teachers, what do you want to teach? What can you teach? What does the students want to learn? And what do their families want to learn? When you ask the families, when you sit down with them, the students, the teachers, you're ensuring a community that actually believes in what's being taught and learned. Since we were able to do that, we were able to institute classes and subjects that the students wanted to learn and that the teachers were able to teach. And because of that, I think that's why we've become largely successful, is that we are culturally sensitive to what students want to learn and not coming in with this American sense or this British idea of what needs to be taught. And I think that's why success is at the forefront.
Oh, that's great. It sounds good. But mashallah, you recently, presented your research in the Oxford Roundtable. And what was the focus of your paper there?
My focus was decolonization of the educational system in Pakistan. So what that meant was removing those westernized metrics of success on a global scale. So the British came and imposed these ideas of what success is. However, there's a gap between what Pakistanis view as success versus British. A quintessential example of that is the individualistic nature of the West. So we see a lot of individualized success being championed rather than a lot of that, group or familial success. A lot of Pakistan believes in, family bonds, religious bonds, right? And so since that wasn't applied within those systems, not a lot of people, especially the socio-economically disadvantaged groups, believe in sending their girls and boys there.
Tell us something about, what are the most surprising or important findings from your research, on girls' education, especially in Pakistan?
Well, specifically coming from a Western standpoint, there's highly distorted and demonized versions or narratives of Pakistan, South Asia in general, and Muslim dominant countries. I found that a lot of the West and myself even believed perhaps that religiously motivated people wanted to keep their girls at home for
There's
those
so
reasons.
many misconceptions and stigmas.
Exactly. I even saw that sometimes in my school. I study international relations at George Washington. And so I found that perhaps might be an issue that I would encounter. However, I noticed in urban Lahore, that wasn't the case. The issue was financial inability. A lot of them would choose, if they had a son or a daughter of similar age, which one would they send their girls to, or girl or boy to? It would be the boy. The reason is because there's more opportunities for boys to pursue higher level education, whereas the girls, especially in my recent interviews, I've noticed that if there's a financial inability to send both children, only one will be sent, and that will be the one that could actually potentially get a job or work for the family, provide.
Yes, you're right.
I found though, when I was doing the interviews with families and students, they wanted their girls to go. There was no religious, cultural idea against it. It was more so, we just can't. And that's what inspired me specifically to cover every single cost for the student, this female student to go to school, so that there's no kind of reason for the parents to be like, we can't, because you can.
Exactly. The biggest actually problem is the financial problem
Exactly.
they're facing. And you saw this. And what kind of numbers or research you find out how many girls are not going to schools in Pakistan?
In Pakistan, I believe, I don't know the exact number per se, but I do know that in the global research, they noticed that Pakistan was one of the lowest ranking for out-of-school children in the whole world. I believe it was second to last in 2022. And so the split up is quite debated due to the inability to figure out exactly what number of girls, what's the split between boys and girls, but there's a high number of students out of it, and it's disproportionately by secondary school aged girls rather than boys or primary school girls. The dropout tends to be around the 5th grade, and that's where I decided I wanted to target, between 5th and higher level grades.
That's right. So there are some specific areas which have a good literacy rate, like Gilgit-Baltistan, 99%. But normally people think that, their people need some schools. But actually, more in the Punjab and Sindh and those cities, you need more schools to educate girls.
Exactly. I think because of the financial instability of living in a major city, people are exposed to problems that don't necessarily pertain to the north, those more rural areas. There is problems in rural areas, for example, lack of transportation, schools will be too far away, the idea of ghost schools, which are basically schools that were funded either by the government or NGOs, and then the community just left them, there's no one really enrolling. We don't necessarily see that as much in the urban setting, but we do see a lot of lack of community buy-in, so a lot of dropout students.
So, you also did some research, academic research on this, and there's something on ground. So how much, your research helped you out working on ground to found As We Rise Foundation?
A lot. I wanted to see what are the issues that I could fix. So if the community isn't buying in, why? When I realized the why was because the community doesn't believe in what's being taught, I said, let's go to families, students, teachers, let's see what can be taught, what they want to teach, and what will continuously, kind of have these students enrolling and believing in their own education. Whether that be science, social studies, the history of Pakistan, but then also outside of Pakistan. We tend to see a lot of nationalization within, the curricula. And so kind of, having that as well, obviously Pakistan's a very prideful country, which is one of the things I love about it, but also learning more about the outside world to give global perspective. Additionally, we want to start implementing ideas of vocational training, such as like sewing, but also sports and stuff like that for students to pursue their passions outside of school. So in all, creating an environment where girls can be empowered to do what they want in and out of school. Additionally, we saw a lot of teacher absenteeism when I was pursuing my research. What that meant was teachers were overworked, overloaded with curricula, especially during the SNC, which is a single national curriculum implementation. What that meant was the curriculum was being overloaded with all these different, ideas that wanted to be taught within a specific subject matter. The issue is a lot of teachers weren't trained on how to actually teach that. So we wanted to be able to ensure that the teachers were well educated, exactly, and trained to be able to teach us to a classroom.
Oh, yes.
We wanted to have interactive experiences, drawing, calligraphy, things like that, so that students are actually learning it not just by memorization, which is a very big thing. We see in madrasas, hafs and stuff.
It's also a challenge. You must need the staff which are motivated by themselves to teach the kids.
Exactly. So providing them adequate salaries so that they can survive and support themselves was our biggest thing. And then also, again, making sure that people are checking in on them. Hey, do you need anything? Is your salary okay? So that we ensure that they're actually believing in what was being taught and learned by the students.
That's great. And how much difficult it is to create a team like that.
It was difficult. It was difficult. I have to again attribute that to our principal, Wasim. He was instrumental in finding these people, these graduates from universities, high schools, graduates that are able to be learned. Because a lot of people can say, you know, me, I can teach, but not a good teacher is someone who cares about what the students are learning, who can teach what the students are learning, and who truly believe in it. So I'm so happy, especially Wasim's daughter herself is one of our teachers. Her name is Aisha. She is, you know, inspirational in her the.
Very nice.
Yes, yeah.
That's great. So you mentioned about conducting interviews and field work, and you know, can you describe what criteria you actually follow? You know, while you're hiring not only the teacher, the staff, but also is there any criteria to induct these students?
Right, so we wanted to find students whose families are willing to send them, students that are willing to learn. We have exams, we have obviously like exams in the beginning to attest to their level of education, whether they be dropout or if they had never had an educational experience. We then have midterms, and then we have the matriculation exams where they take standardized exams in Pakistan, all again administered by Wasim, our amazing principal. And so he really ensures that all the students are either, you know, going through the course as well, and if not, then having private lessons where they can, you know, ensure that they're truly being taught and adequately.
So we talk a lot about, you know, the misconception people have about Pakistan, especially the international audience. So have about education and gender in Pakistan. Did you, you know, succeed in finishing those misconceptions and stigmas over there in America?
So Malala is a quintessential example. She is known all across the world. Obviously,
Yes.
her book. She's an amazing person and someone who spearheaded a lot of initiatives through her foundation in schools. However, unfortunately, that created further a demonized, distorted version of what Pakistan is, what Islam is, what it teaches. And unfortunately, that was something I encountered while asking for donations, going door to door. I noticed that a lot of people said, okay, let's say I give money for Pakistan. Will people actually, you know, get the funds? Will they actually use it? Or is it just going to become some type of ghost school? I ensured them that I would find families that believed in it, whether there was more religiously. A lot of people in the rural areas found issues with sending their girls because they didn't believe in it, but I would say that's more of I would attribute that to culturally rather than religiously. So we found families in an area that would ensure that they did not have that issue, and through that I was able to prove that, you know, we have a school running. They're Muslim too. We actually have a few Christian students as well who attend our school. That it's a welcoming environment despite, you know, what you may think.
So other Americans who are, you know, helping you in this As We Rise Foundation, are they also willing to come and visit Pakistan and you know, visit your school as well?
I think so. I think at first, you know, they hear Pakistan, they're like a little hesitant, but a lot of my friends are from, you know, one of my friends is Kenyan and Turkish, my other friends are Iranian. So they come from countries that are also Muslim predominantly. They're aware of, you know, what the West, you know, tends to think. So they're definitely excited to come, especially after the photos I've shared.
I hope that they all come and see and discover Pakistan.
Yes.
And see the beauty with their own eyes. Not only, you know, the beauty of the landscape and places, but the beauty of people,
Right.
which you have, I guess, witnessed.
I have.
So in future, have you marked some other places where your foundation is going to open some different institutes as well?
We want to do other places in Pakistan, but again, it's that having that trust in the ability of someone to keep it running. Obviously, I live in the United States, so it's hard to kind of, you know, micromanage those in other schools. So finding someone we can trust, but you know, eventually I do want to spread outside to the world. So helping, you know, potential refugees with the Syrian crisis right now, or also displaced persons in the Middle East. But also, my brother worked in the Peace Corps in Indonesia, so there's need for it there. So yeah, excited about that.
That's great, mashallah. So what do you think? Is there any need to change, whether it is in policy, it's in funding, or, you know, global perception, to improve education access for girls in Pakistan?
Policy recommendations I would have was increasing that teacher training and ensuring that there are outlets for them to, you know, be comfortable in their workload and what the outcome is, that there's not a pressure to make it to a certain number in an exam or else they're done. I think with NGOs there needs to be more cultural sensitivity, figuring out what the parents of these students want, what the teachers are able to teach, and through that we can kind of create a cohesive system that's supported outside by these outside NGOs and by the government, but then also community-based initiatives that inspire this reoccurring enrollment.
That's great. So, last but not the least, you want to deliver any message to young Pakistanis, especially the girls who are watching right now?
I think, like my grandmother, women can kind of do anything they want to put their minds to. I think it's instrumental when they have belief in themselves, belief in what they can do, and to ensure that not letting what other people think or their perception of them put them down. It's amazing what a woman can do when they are not consistently, societally, and institutionally put down, right? So providing those opportunities is the utmost important thing for me, because that will, create change in Pakistan. We'll see more, women in leadership positions, more youth in politics and protests and voting, and that's the most important thing for me, is creating a Pakistan that's equal for women, and that women can say what they need to.
That's great. That's a very good message. Whatever you want to do, you can do. You have to believe in yourself.
Exactly.
And you have to work hard. Finally, I want to know a little bit about your experience in Pakistan. How many cities you have visited and which place you like the most?
Well, I've been to Lahore, Islamabad, Hunza, Shigar, Peshawar, of course. We have family there. I think definitely by far the beauty of Hunza and the Swat Valley, is something else. But the culture that I see in Lahore and the power and the loyalty and the pride is something that is continuously inspire me every time I go to Pakistan.
That's great. And what about the food? Have you tried the nihari, biryani?
Yes, I have tried it. Unfortunately, my Iraqi side makes me not love the spicy food too much, but I'm always asking for the fruit.
You can enjoy the kebabs. And
yes, exactly. Exactly. And then the sweets, gulab jamun, and stuff like that. Chai is, every time I ask for one in the morning. But
oh, that's great.
Yes.
You used to take chai.
Yes, just
coffee.
This morning, yes. Yes,
that's great. And you look beautiful in this Pakistani attire.
Thank you.
What about
yes.
this? Have you, visited the places and do some shopping for you and your friends?
I have. Yes. It is extraordinary. We visited the Liberty Market, where we saw this, the handicraft of, each of the weaving of different materials. It's truly inspiring to me. I think it requires so much patience, so much sabr, and hopefully one day I can learn some tricks of the trade. That's
great. Thank you very much, Belsem. It's a pleasure talking to you, and you're doing a great job. And I wish you good luck. That you open so many schools in Pakistan and support the girls and the society and the community, and I hope you're enjoying your stay in Pakistan and keep coming again and again.
Thank you.
So that was Belsem Aljobory. आज के इस प्रोग्राम में हमारी स्पेशल गेस्ट थी. आपने उनकी गुफ्तगू मुलाहिज़ा की. स्पेशली काम कर रही हैं बच्चियों की तालीम के लिए. मुरीद के में उन्होंने अपना एक इंस्टीट्यूट बनाया है. अमेरिका से फंड्स लेकर आ रही हैं. बाहर की कम्युनिटी को बता रही हैं पाकिस्तान कितना खूबसूरत है, कितना बेहतरीन है, पाकिस्तान में कितना पोटेंशियल. और जिस तरह इन्होंने मैसेज दिया इनमें कि हमारे यंगस्टर्स को, ख़ास तौर पे बच्चियों को अपने ऊपर पूरा एतमाद होना चाहिए. वो कुछ भी कर सकती हैं. उनको अल्लाह ने बेतहाशा सलाहियतें दी हैं. इसी एक बेहतर पॉइंट और एक बड़ी अच्छे मैसेज के साथ आज के इस प्रोग्राम से मुझे दीजिए इजाज़त. अगले प्रोग्राम में एक नए डिस्कवर एक्सक्लूसिव में एक नई शख्सियत के साथ हाजिर होंगे. तब तक के लिए अल्लाह हाफ़िज़.